Serving your football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talk in Town. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and it's Wednesday. We are about 50 hours away now from Friday's 8:30 show and officially the start of the weekend. So we're nearly there. This is midweek hump day, and we're getting over it by looking back on an absolute, from my perspective anyway, fantastic performance last night. A 2-0 win over Lincoln, and Lincoln's manager calling us the best team in the division. We have tested them in ways that Sunderland and Rotherham, I believe it's Rotherham, he said, will not. Lovely words, things you love to hear the opposition manager say about your football team. The chat is busy, the chat is lively. I love to see a lively and busy chat. Don't forget, this is, of course, a live presentation, so language may sometimes be a little bit strong, but we do welcome you to have your say on your platform. Get involved. There'll be a live link to come on, have your say with the contributors, which tonight, as you've seen on the intro screen, are two wonderful people, two diehard Town fans with knowledge that you just can't contain on the Ipswich bus, which also is partner with the podcast. There we go. We're getting them all in tonight. Look at this. I've had my Weetabix today. Crunchy's in the room. Emerson, good evening. A very happy birthday to Matt Stannard before we go any further. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and I hope the pizza this evening was rather tasty. Good evening, Ant Steele. Good evening, Rob Holmes. Good evening, Mr. Mike Baker. Busy chat. Before I go any further, Prediction League. It is now open. We currently have, let me just have a look at the link. One person entered into the Prediction League. Now, I know that'll fill up, but one person just will not do. That will not do. So there we go. Portsmouth versus Ipswich, Scunthorpe, Colchester, Sheffield Wednesday, Cambridge, and Leeds versus Norwich. Week 28 Prediction League is open. Link in the chat. Get involved. Get involved with it. And did you know it was on this day, roughly about 20 odd years ago, when Malcolm Webster came out in support of Andy Marshall following a gaffe against Leeds? That's why I thought I'd tie it in, because Leeds play Norwich. I had to go back on YouTube and watch the video of the game when I read the on this day today. I think gaff's putting it lightly. Fucking hellfire. What a mistake it was. If you've not seen it, go and find it. It literally is one for the howlers. Can we also like the show? Thank you very much, Ipswich Jules. Appreciate that. Right, let's bring our first contributor in. He is known to many as Lionel. I call him Alex. He is Lionel.
Hello, mate.
How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Long day, but all good. All good.
Long day, but it's always made the Wednesdays are always made better by the fact Town have won on a Tuesday night, if they did in fact win, and they did this week.
Absolutely. I think we can safely say we've won more Tuesday games this year than we've lost. So Wednesdays have generally been better this year.
It hasn't been too bad. You're absolutely right. And sadly, though, last night was the last Tuesday at Portman Road, Tuesday night game at Portman Road, unless we make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So was it the last one? Was it the last one, or was it?
Yeah, not? It was. It was.
Well, you just put a pin in everyone's balloon tonight, then. Good grief, man.
But from what I remember, I think playoff games on Wednesday, Saturday, or Wednesday. So
it could well be. But is it the last midweek game then? I'll make it a little bit more broader for you. Is it the last midweek game?
No.
At home? No. Okie dokie.
No.
We'll keep the faith. Did you see the news today that the ladies' game is going to be on BBC, I believe?
I did not see that, but that's, in line with what we did on Monday night, that's another amazing step for women's football and making it all inclusive. So all power to it. And they deserve it on the run, how they've been performing this year. They absolutely deserve it.
They absolutely do. To put a bit more meat on that bone, Ipswich Town's Women's Vitality FA Cup quarter-final tie against West Ham on Sunday, the 20th of March, has been selected for live TV coverage, with the kickoff moving as a result to a 12:30. It will be on the red button. That is great coverage for the ladies, great coverage for the football team, and I think they've got a great chance, Alex, of getting through to a semi-final.
They really have. You know, the job that they've done this year has been absolutely, amazing. And, the fact that it's a lot, that their progress is a lot more prominent in terms of, being out there on social media, just being out there in terms of all the stuff that they're running with Her Game too.
Yeah.
I think it's a really positive step. Which can only read, good things. If seeing that helps, women and girls that maybe didn't think they want to play football and they want to do it now, then that's only a good thing.
Absolutely, and we'll do our best to cover it as they progress, as they go, and as they progress. Though the Cruncher says they won't go any further. Well, I'm here to tell you now, you're wrong. Talking of positivity in the right step, let's complete the lineup. A midfield engine, well over 1 million appearances for club and country. He makes it all tick. We love him. He's on BBC Ones on a Sunday night, but he's here. It's Mark Peaky Tuxford. How is the new series of Peaky Blinders treating you, sir?
It's going well in it. To be fair, it's a good little first 2 episodes, I think.
Good stuff. I don't watch it. I had to.
Why? What is the matter with you?
Well, I'm a big Sopranos fan, and everything else after that is just irrelevant, really. So, I've seen a few clips on TikTok. The problem is, and I'll be honest here, I'll level with you, right? I've seen a few clips on TikTok of Peaky Blinders, and I probably quite like it. But I've doubled down on my never seen it, not going to watch it, load of rubbish that I now can't backtrack without losing face.
But it can't be a load of rubbish if you've not seen it.
Yeah, I know, but I can't backtrack now without losing face because the rest of the family watch it, you see. So I was like,
there's absolutely no excuse then. If the rest of the family watch it.
Well, there is. It's my male pride, my male ego, Tux, will not allow me. So I have to come to you and ask you what happened. What's happened this week?
Well, I mean, to put it lightly, I think it's already probably the best series going, I think.
Wow.
I really liked the series before Series 3. I think we're on Series 5 now, but Series 3 was brilliant with Luca Changretta. But yeah, this is started off nicely. A good reference to Polly, Helen McCrory, who sadly passed away. So yeah, it's been a good first 2 episodes, to be honest.
Good stuff. Well, talking of good stuff, last night was a great little 3-pointer. We've got a couple of news items before we get into that, though. First of all, planning permission has been applied for to Ipswich Borough Council to basically put a hole in the corner of the Cobbled to allow access for new pitch to be relayed and a super-sized screen. Tux, I think it's the corner, if I'm reading it right, of the away end. So the corner of the away end and Sir Ralph. What do you think of that then? The permission's been applied for.
Yeah. I think that'd be a really good addition to the ground because it's a modern addition as well. Many modern clubs have big screens, not just one, but quite a few now. So I always remember as a kid going to like Upton Park and seeing their kind of big screen as well. And I always thought, why can't Ipswich have that? Why can't they have like a modern day screen? But we've always had that kind of like little miniature scoreboard at both ends. But yeah, I think it would be good because then you can watch I've always liked Charlton's one as well because they always show the highlights before games and things like that. So yeah, if we can do things like that, it'd be really good. I think it's a nice touch at pre-match and half time and things like that. So,
absolutely, we better get ourselves ship shape and shiny, Alex, because I reckon some TT coverage on those big screens wouldn't go amiss.
No, it wouldn't. And I mean, for me to build on that, it's only a positive thing. Again, it's another sign of progress. And again, you got to look at the fact that Fleetwood have got a big screen, and we haven't. Yeah, let's just kind of But again, it shows, for me, it shows commitment and willingness. And again, it's the owners doing what they said they were going to do, which, for the long-term perspective of this club, is another good thing, because it's almost like literally everything they said they were going to do, they're doing.
Well, so yes, they are. You're right, absolutely. But we knew the pitch was going to be relayed, but it's now come to light. Obviously, they need a little bit more. I didn't know the only access onto the pitch was obviously through the tunnel. That no wonder they want to make access to it, Tux. That's ridiculous. You can barely get one of those little trucks they carry the players out on through those tunnels. That's
I mean, there's lots to do, I think, at the ground. I think the sound system is one of those, because it's really poor where I stand and stuff like that. And it's not great. I mean, it's got to be like lots of updates to it, and it just shows how much Marcus Evans left it in such a rut. It was just really poor from his point of view. And like, obviously he doesn't sit where we sit, and he sits in the prawn sandwich brigade and all that sort of stuff. But the point being is that you have to have a tour of the ground, like Ashton's done and O'Leary's done, and see what actually is missing from Portman Road atmosphere. And these little things like a screen, and obviously it costs an absolute bomb, but these are little additions to our match day experience that we've been crying out for absolutely years. So long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. But it also justifies a rather exorbitant ticket price, which certainly was always in the news about ITFC's ticket prices being one of the most expensive in whichever division it was in at the time. It was the Championship then, but they've said about the sound system, because we were asked by Robert Grimsey if we could mention that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, the Ashton and Co have said they can't really touch that without the pitch until the pitch is being relayed, because they need the pitch up to get the cherry. I think it's a cherry picker they call it, onto the pitch to sort it out. Because where I sit, Alex, in the cobbled, it pins you right to the back of the stand. It's so loud. Whereas I think where you are, you can barely hear it.
Yeah, it's not the only bit that's remarkably loud is the lady and her in the event of an emergency. Anything else is generally quite quiet, but the lady telling us what to do.
That inside out, though, don't you? You can say it for her. To be fair, at the end when it goes bump.
That hasn't changed in the flipping 20 odd years that I've been going to football. I think she was going when I watched us lose 2-0 Coventry when we're in the Prem under John Duncan. So that's how old that is.
Oh, there you go, showing your age there, Alex.
Talking about things that I noticed, and someone I was walking to the ground with brought it up last night. If we're going to do work on the ground, can we please clean those windows on the top of the
cobbled?
Yes,
it's been noted. It's been fed back. It has been fed back. It's not something that I enjoy looking at when I climb up to my luxury seat, shall we say?
And it may not seem like clean windows, may not seem like a big thing. But it's all about that professionalism and looking professional and looking like a big club.
Image and reputation, absolutely. One of the things we didn't really give off under the previous regime, which is why no pride, in my opinion, no pride was taken in a lot of people's works. A conversation that is going on in the chat, has been going on social media, Tux, is the atmosphere from last night. Now, at kickoff, albeit I was at home, when the players came out of the tunnel, the atmosphere sounded great. So I tweeted that. Of course, you never should tweet anything because you're not allowed to have a snippet of time. It's got to be literally correct for the whole of time, not just that one moment in time. But anyway, the rest of the night, it was rather flat. How did you see it from where you were? Was it flat? Was it loud? What do you think of last night's atmosphere, Tux?
I mean, to be honest, I'm quite a vocal fan anyway, so I don't really notice those things, because if you're shouting yourself, then you sort of hear yourself anyway. But I mean, it's. I guess I did notice at points where no one was singing. It's more like the Blue Action lot that was singing and all that sort of stuff. And that happens. That does happen. But I don't suppose it warranted because the performance. Certainly, first half we were unreal. So we should have probably supported them a bit further. But yeah, I mean, goals change atmospheres, don't they? So I think it obviously improved a little bit as the game sort of wore on and stuff like that. But yeah,
a flat atmosphere Alex, as Tux was sort of saying there, is that because of the way the game unfolded? You know, I remember, you know, atmospheres at Portman Road, like Derby, when we were pushing for the playoffs, Christoph Berra's last-minute winner. Was it actually? It wasn't that type of game, so we're never going to get that type of atmosphere because it was almost a training game.
It was, and I think, you know, for me, I think as a fan base, we're not used to the level of football we're playing and going 2-0 up, and it's sort of like it's having that. I thought about it last night. It was nice to sort of be like, right, I can actually sit and watch a game and not have to worry about, you know, every time the opposition have a corner because, you know, Lincoln. And I think it's just such a novel experience for Town fans. Sort of, I think it might have just been like, right, we're not used to this. You know, we're 2-0 up. That Lincoln don't look like they're going to do anything. What's this all about, sort of thing?
Yeah, I completely agree. That it was. Carl Brooks has literally done you here, Tux. I can confirm Tux is a vocal fan, especially when he let out a little orgasm last night of a Chaplin's free kick that went 3 yards wide.
It is, yeah. That's the thing is, I kick every ball, head every ball, and everything like that. So I really do get involved with it. And you know, I think that's probably one of the reasons why, you know, I go into the Bobby now, because you go sit somewhere in the cupboard or something like that, and as soon as you even shout, like, people turn around going, you know, it's things like that which I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me really. But I do think we should be a bit more vocal across the whole of the ground, and it just feels like it does take a goal or, you know, something good to happen for us to actually like cheer and stuff. But
you're S6, aren't you?
Yes, yeah.
So obviously a lot of chat about Section 6, Section 5, Blue Action, Cruncher, you know, sort of neutral and impartial, as ever said. The design of the North Stand doesn't help. Acoustics all wrong, but he also goes on to say Blue Action songs are shit. What do you, Section 6, Section 5? Is it a case of, because I've seen some people say, Tux, that the songs aren't good enough. I've seen some people say the acoustics. I'm going to go one further and say, actually, we've got, and I can only speak from experience here, I know of people in the North Stand who don't say a word. And I think you've got, if you want to stand there and watch a game with logic and analytically, you're in the wrong stand. Because the North Stand's about blood, passion, thunder, guts.
It is, but I think people show their passion in different ways. And you view a game in a different way. So you don't have to stand there and sing all day long. You don't have to shout all day long. You know, if you want to stand there and support your team in the way you want to, then that's absolutely fine, in my opinion, because other people will do that anyway. But you know, I don't know if I agree with the Blue Action's songs are shit. I mean, at least they're trying. At least they're kind of putting, you know, songs out there to be sung, and you know, the atmosphere is there for them to generate. And look, one of the reasons why they exist as a community really is that because no one was really doing that beforehand, were they? You look how poor the atmosphere was before they even started. So, you know, they're only trying to do a good thing. You know, I think maybe some fans don't know the songs. That's probably why they might think it's shit. And obviously it takes a while to catch on with a new song. But, you know, you've got to applaud their efforts in terms of how they, you know, try and get especially the North Stand to sing along to different sort of songs and existing songs as well, because they sing all types of different songs. So, you know, for me, it's, you know, supporting that as well. And if you don't want to get involved, you don't want to sing, you don't want to shout, that's absolutely fine. Again, that is how you want to turn up to Portman Road and support your team through thick and thin. And again, that doesn't mean sitting in a North Stand either. If you want to go and sit at the top of the Green King Stand, do that. Do you know what I mean? Because you're turning up, you're paying money to support your club. And there's just so many different ways of supporting your club, in my opinion.
That is something I would also say. Maybe people think if they go and sit somewhere else and they make a bit of noise, people are going to look at them. In my experience, having sat in the cobble stand all of my footballing life, they don't mind you making a bit of noise. And the more people you get in those stands that want to make a bit of noise, you'll eventually find each other, and you'll eventually, you know, make the noise together, and that will become the norm. Yeah. So, you know, you have to do it where you want to, but obviously the North Stand is the more traditional route. Irvin sings all game. Good evening, Irv. Hope you're well. Alex, obviously not spend too much longer on this subject. but unless people want to come on and have their say about it. But Carl Brooks makes a great point here. The worst bit about SBRL is Section 6 will start a song, Section 4 will start another. It's almost like the drummer needs moving potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well, you know, I do think there's a certain degree of, unfortunately, them and us mentality as well when it comes to, you know, the guys that are trying, you know, as Tuck said, you know, Blue Action are trying to get sort of, you know, trying to get things going. But I think for whatever reason, they maybe haven't had the best press, shall we say? You know, and I still think there's a certain degree of them and us. I think there's a certain degree of we haven't had new chance for so long. But the George Edmondson one that was out last night, I thought I'd heard that. I thought that was really inventive, you know. So they are trying, but it's a case of we need to sort of all pull together and maybe get behind it. One thing I did want to bring up and get the chat's opinion on both sides, if I can. The North Stand Concourse pre-game, purely because, again, this is like an access point for me, so, and any other fan with mobility issues, what you're having as well, with the drummer is going in the bar area below the North Stand about, say, 20 minutes before the game, and getting everyone whipped up, which is fine, but it's a case of like, you get people jumping about, you get people throwing beer about, and it's just that typical thing that we've said before about people not being mindful of like those around them, sort of thing. I mean, literally, I went to the bar pre-game last night, and really struggled because them sort of getting whipped up and jumping about and throwing their beers about started what I thought I would at the bar. And then trying to get out, back, round and through that was, you know, an absolute nightmare. And then literally a guy came in just after me in a scooter. And the only reason he got to the bar is come on, and the older lad that was part of this this movement, shall we say, realised what was happening and sort of then moved, you know, everyone else out the way. But there isn't that I think there needs to be that mentality of like, you know, just be mindful that, you know, you may need to stop jumping around for a minute to let someone else through. I don't know whether this is just me coming from the background that I do, you know, being alternative and being in mosh pits for like 20 years. But, you know, there's always that mentality.
Wow.
If you get knocked down, then it stops and you get picked back up again. I don't know whether a sort of mentality like...
You mean care for your fellow fan? You mean
that's exactly
all in it together? So when you're in a mosh pit and you fall to the ground, they don't trample on you, but you know...
Yeah,
hopefully they pick you back up. I'm with you.
And don't get me wrong here, guys. I'm not saying I want that to stop. I'm not saying that at all.
No. But I think what you're saying is spot on. But I think that speaks to a more broader, wider public issue at the moment with the society, without getting into a political conversation, and not having the fellow respect for your fellow human.
And I think there's been that mindset of like, guys, this person's got mobility issues. They're trying to get through. Let's just stop for a minute, make sure they're all right, and then we can carry on again. That's all it needs to be, you know. So all I would say, guys, is if you are part of that, you know, part of that movement, just be a little bit more mindful about those around you.
Absolutely. And also the stewards, in fairness, have to play a part. You know, maybe we need some designated routes for our disabled fans, because they are a part of that. And they are just as important as everybody else, Alex. And
to be fair,
their safety is paramount.
And again, and this could be, because you've got to think about it this way. You know, the steward, the guys, they are volunteers. You know, they give up their time to go and do it. And
the stewards,
you know, I would think they are. You know,
they're paid, aren't they?
They don't have to do it.
Some
you know,
of them are paid, I think.
Yeah.
But then I think, you know, if you're, let's face it, a lot of the stewards are older or female, and are you really going to want to sort of get in front of that lot and tell them not to do it? Will they listen?
Well, no, that's true. That's true.
You know, and I think the guys that they bring in, the guys that aren't ITFC stewards, are just there for a payday, so they don't overly care either way.
Okay. So yeah, let us know in the chat if you've experienced something similar, if you've seen something similar, what you want to feel back to what Alex was talking about. Alex, great point to raise. Thank you. So the game, I guess we should move ourselves on to. It was a game happening around this flat or otherwise atmosphere. How did we see it? Tux, talk us through it. I'm going to drop the link in now, but how did you see yesterday's game? 2-0 domination.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we dominated it from sort of start to finish, really. Obviously, the first half was much better than the second half. Like, the first half, we just absolutely ran the show. I think second half, obviously, we took off the gas a little bit, but like Alex said earlier, it was very much like a training game for all intents and purposes. So, yeah, it was a really good performance by us. Shame we couldn't get a couple more goals. We certainly had the chances. I never thought that kind of Lincoln worried us at all. I can't really remember him having that many chances, to be honest. Walton didn't do a lot, and you know, when you can keep your keeper not busy, then that says it all, really. So, yeah, I thought we played really well, and you know, that takes us into the weekend, which is another huge game. It was just important to obviously get that win last night, because obviously teams around us obviously also picked up points as well. So, yeah, going into the weekend, full on confidence, and hopefully, yeah, we can get some 3 points.
Alex, how did you see yesterday's performance?
I was really impressed. You know, some of the football that we're playing, there just seems to be a whole mentality change. You know, and I say it again, for the first time in however many years, that, you know, I don't fear. You know, you'd see like even this season, that say the opposition get a corner and you'd be like, oh, here we go, this is going to go in. I don't fear it, because they just seem so organised. Yeah. Everyone knows what they're doing. People are confident in Walton. And I thought Mick Mill raised a good point on the after the game. He was saying it just proves how good our defence is, because if you look at the years when Bart won Player of the Year, you know, that should be a slightly worrying sign, because if Bart's winning Player of the Year, it's because he's making spectacular saves, which means that the defence aren't doing their job. And we've got a defence now that know what they're doing. They're well drilled. Everyone knows, you know, who they're picking up. There doesn't seem you don't see them argue between each other. And I really like the way that, you know, they're all supporting each other. You know, they're all sort of patting on the back. They just seem to and I think that is the thing. You know, I think we're so, and we're not lumping it up forward, and people are just confident on the ball at the minute, and you know, take the time to pick the pass and do what they need to do. So I just thought it was a really good performance. I thought Wes Burns had another, you know, good game. I thought Morsey ran that midfield. Wolf just looks like a different player. He looks like, I think, from what I hear, McKenna's sort of giving him that instruction of like, if there's a ball there to be won, go and win it. You know, just go and do it. Don't worry about, you know, if you think you can win it, go do it.
Well, yeah, trusting his players. So, Alex mentioned there, you know, we don't lump it long, but what I'm really impressed with is the multiple ways this football team can actually play the game of football. It doesn't lump it long, but don't misunderstand me. It will play more direct if it needs to. And a couple of our goals have come from a more direct, on the floor, admittedly, style of play. We can really mix it with the best of them, I feel.
Yeah, we've got the players to do that. And, you know, you look at basically our kind of forward options, really, and it says it from there, where, you know, I think Jackson likes it on the floor. He likes to get out wide and, you know, use his pace to get in behind players. And then you've got the likes of Bon or, you know, Norwood type player who will sit there and try and hold it up for players to bring other players into the game. So, yeah, it does work. And, yeah, I think you just got to look at our midfield. Like, it just oozes class. Like, you've got to look at Selena, Aluko and players like that. And, you know, even when we was in the Championship, I never felt we really had those kind of players, and not utilised in their correct positions anyway. And, you know, obviously McKenna's come in, you know, brought a completely new kind of formation to the fold, and these players that he has currently at the moment suit that formation quite well. And, you know, you touched upon Wolford in there, and for me, he has been probably one of the two best players since McKenna's arrived here. And it's not even just for his defensive abilities, because he's been solid, but like, you look at it from a point of view where against Cheltenham, I know we didn't play too well, but he was coming out of defence and he was making marauding runs from centre back.
Did it last night?
Yeah, he did it last night, didn't he?
He was creating stuff. And when you've got a player that can sit in that back 3 or 5, whatever you want to call it, come out of that and create opportunities for the team, it just honestly, it's unreal. And he's been electric since McKenna's took over. And then you've got to look at players like Morsey, who's just been different class. Like the kid's fucking different gravy. Like he just absolutely runs the show. Like he just sits there and dictates play the whole time, and captain material really. I think the only thing I would say is that he gets a bit hot-headed sometimes, but other than that,
we've missed that though, haven't we?
We have, yeah, and we do need that bit of nasty. We need a bit of nasty streak in us, and I feel like most years we've been a bit too nice and stuff like that, and yeah, we've got a bit of a nasty streak in us now, and I just, for me, other than the front 3, the team picks itself really for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. We will obviously cover Morsey a bit more in a second because he might be injured. We might have to replace him. But there's some conversation in the chat about Walton versus Bart. Robert Wilson, Bart's better shot stopper. I see the conversation going on today. Let's get both of your thoughts before we bring Goat in to tell us how he saw last night. Bart versus Walton, Walton versus Bart. Now, you can have 2 good goalkeepers and not have to compare them. Is there a conversation yet to be had, Tux, that Walton could be even on the same level as Bart, let alone better, or are we still a little bit away from really putting that conversation together?
I think we're a bit away from it, and I think it was Hox who brought the video into play on Twitter where it was essentially like a showreel of Bart really, and yes, it was a few years ago. But he's still playing at a decent level with Millwall, and he is a quality goalkeeper. There's no doubt in that. I also think Walton is a very good goalkeeper, especially at this level. We're lucky to have him, but we've only really had him for a short while. We can't get ahead of ourselves and say he's the best goalkeeper we've ever had or whatever, because it's just ridiculous. But Bart, you think about, like Alex said, you think about how much he got us out of trouble for 3 good seasons on the trot.
Oh God, yeah.
And that's due to the fact that he didn't have a solid defence in front of him. Would Walton be exactly the same if he had that defence in front of him? Who knows? I don't know. But you can only pick it on the time that they were playing, and obviously Bart was an outstanding goalkeeper for us, and Walton is becoming that as well. But I think it's too early to kind of say that Walton's better than Bart. Why are we even comparing? Do you know what I mean? Just let him play.
This is it. Absolutely, Alex. Tux has really summed it nicely there. But what do you feel? Is there a conversation yet?
Not yet. I think Tux made the exact same point I was going to make. We had Bart for many good years, who saved us many points. We haven't even had Walton a full season yet. And you've also got to argue the point that Bart played for us in the championship and with our championship keeper.
Yeah,
Walton's only played for us in League One.
True.
And I think if you're going to talk about good Ipswich keepers on the same level, I don't think you can. I don't think it's just. Let's just say I don't think it's just Bart and Walton. I think you've got to bring Richard Wright in there as well.
Yeah.
And I think let's have this conversation again in maybe a year and a half, 2 years' time. When Walton's got more games under his belt, I think I'm not saying Walton is a good keeper, and he will be a good keeper for us for many, many years. But I think to try and compare it, it's just too soon right now.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to throw goalkeepers in there, Aaron Lee Barrett, I'm not even sure Walton's better than Aaron Lee Barrett.
I knew this was coming. I absolutely knew it.
I'm not even sure Walton's better than Aaron Lee Barrett right now. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm sorry.
I knew that was coming.
Well, I'm anything but predictable, Tux. In a minute, you'll be bringing Drilling up. I've got absolutely no doubt about that.
I will do.
My more important question from Cruncher is Tux getting married in the hat?
Yes. You've asked that before, Crunch, and yes, it's still the same.
Is it a top hat?
No, it'll be a Peaky Blind hat.
Oh, I like it. Right. Kelvin Davis, we can do it all night. Right. Let's bring the goat and see what he dealt about last night. Before I do, let's play him just a little bit of something for one of his favourite players. Good term, wasn't it, Colin?
I'll tell you what. I think Rich hit the nail on top of the head today when he said last night when he said about twist and blood. You know, I think that kind of summed it up. You know,
he's turned him every single which way.
Yeah. First thing I'd like to say, Gav, just very, very quickly, thank you to Rich last night for those lovely words. To Mike, who I was thinking about all day yesterday, and obviously to myself, with that being my dad's anniversary. I'll tell you what, always know when somebody's being genuine and somebody's being sincere. And he was being genuinely sincere last night, and I loved that. I really did from me and also for Mike, bless him. Fantastic. Anyway, yeah. So that's got that over and done with. Yeah, last night, Martin. Look, I said I had a chat with my brother today, and I reckon that performance in the first half, especially last night, was probably as good as I've seen at Portman Road for 4 or 5 years, easy in any particular game. The scoreline at half time, Gov, Tux and Alex, absolutely flattered Lincoln. I mean, they should have been 4-0 down at least by half time. Obviously, they made a change in the second half, and to be fair to them, it kind of worked to an extent. But I think, you know, like you said, I watched the show back, Martin, today, which was quite right. You know, I think we kind of took off the pedal a little bit and kind of safeguarded the game, which is absolutely 100% right. I mean, look, you know, a lot of people said about, you know, scoring the goals. Yeah, it'd have been great, you know, because the goal difference will come into this. But more importantly, for me especially, for me personally, is putting the 3 points on the board. That's the main priority at the moment, you know.
Spot on.
But
that said,
yeah,
Colin, we've restricted Lincoln, you know, to 1 shot on target in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It was almost like a training game after 60 minutes, wasn't it? Where it was just keep it all in front of you.
Totally agree with what everybody said tonight. You know, Tux especially, and Alex just and yourself. Yeah, it was like a training game, and it was because we are, like Michael Appleton said. I mean, a lot of things are now coming out of the woodwork, aren't they? You know, what we've been talking about for a few months. And especially myself, you know, I've always banged on. You can go back, you know, anybody can go back on the shows. And I've always said that we have got arguably, look, Rich is absolutely always spot on about that start of the season. But that still doesn't detract from the fact that I've always said we've arguably got possibly the best squad in this league. And I think it's starting to come out now, and under a different coach, you know, same players, but obviously the coaching's obviously different. You know, they've all bought into it. They're fitter. They seem to be keeping the ball. They seem to be pressing harder and higher. And everything is better. And I'll tell you something, that Kieran McKenna, I don't mind repeating myself. I said it after 1.5 games. I got laughed. No. I'll correct myself. I got kind of sniggered at when I said, arguably, persona-wise and how he conducted himself, right from the word go, I could see, you know, just a tad of Sir Bobby in him. And that is an unbelievable thing to say, but I felt it, I saw it, and I still honestly believe it. Do you know what I'd do if I was the board in the summer? Whatever league we're in, I'd sit him down, and I'd talk about his contract, and I'd do what the Cobbles did to Sir Bobby. I'd talk about it. I'd say, look, this is on the table, Kieran. You know, this is what we're going to offer you. And
what would you give him? What would you give him?
What right now? What in the summer?
Today's the 1st of July.
Go.
You can have that conversation. How long are you giving him?
Gov, I quite honestly can't. What contract's he on? Is he on a 3-year?
I believe so. Yes, off the top of my head, I'd have to have a look.
I'll give him another 2 years. I'll give him another 2 years on top.
I'll
give him a 5-year contract. I'll do it now. I'll give him a 5-year contract. The bloke is good enough. He's absolutely top class. I'll give him a 5-year contract.
Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. Tux, the last manager we gave a 5-year contract to was the King. How do you feel about that one?
I do agree with everything that the GOAT is saying, apart from the last bit about the 5-year deal. I don't think we need to do anything just yet. I don't feel like we need to reward him with anything just yet because he hasn't got us one promotion. And I know it's difficult this year, but he might not get promotion. But he's got to build a team and all that sort of stuff, and I get all that. But I think the talk of a potential 5-year deal is a little early, in my opinion. And just let him just crack on with it. Like there's no need to put anything in front of him to even consider. Just do what we're doing at the moment. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's what I'd say.
Okay. Is there a fear, Alex? Is there a fear that we could? That he's making a little bit too much noise as a new manager, and if this football club doesn't get into the playoffs and taste success, that we could lose.
Yes, I mean we could be a complete victim of our own success. We could lose Wes Burns at the end of the season because he has been absolutely dynamite. i.e. Wolfenden, players like that. But you know, what are we going to do? Just sit here and stick with Luke Chambers and Aaron Drinan and Aaron Lee Barrett. You can't have those players, right? You can't have those players in your team, and they were here for too long anyway.
They were.
So when the tide turns and we've got a good team, then just let them play. If they want to fuck off, let them fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Go to a bigger club, whatever. It's same with the manager. If you want to piss off, go and do that.
I'm flipping that.
You've got to sit here and you've got to think, well, okay, this is Ipswich Town as we know it at the moment. Appreciate it, enjoy it. Let's not think about whether we need to give them a 5-year deal, whether Burns is off at the end of the season. We just play to what we are at the moment, and then we cross those bridges when we come to it. And again, if they want to go, let them go, because we'll bring in other players or other managers or whoever. That's football, isn't it? That is football.
That is. It's a continuous regeneration of life in football. Colin, Luco, talk to me about Luco before I let you go. Obviously, you've been a big supporter of Sonny Aluko, big supporter. You've been calling for him in the team most weeks. Last night, he was arguably many people's man of the match. He sent the Lincoln player for his dinner. How good was he? Tell me about Sonny Aluko last night.
Firstly, I said on the show the other night, I was, if anything, I was more than a little bit surprised he started last night. Obviously pleased he did. But what I said before on the show, about him, he's for 31, 32, I'll tell you what, his fitness levels are amazing. First and foremost, his ability to, like Crunch said last night, his ability to turn, like he said last night about being like a slippery eel. He's absolutely like that. And the ball sticks to him. Oh my God! I'll tell you what. Obviously, I sit up in the north, staying up in the north. I'll tell you what. I was so wanting him to score last night because his game and everything he did last night deserved, a goal to finish it all off. Really, really disappointed. Because when he got clear. Going up towards the North Stand, I did honestly think he'd finish that. Bit disappointed he didn't, but in a way, I'm glad Kieran, took him off. So he had that standing ovation because he deserved that last night. And going on to what Rich said last night about whether he'll start Saturday. Well, it's looking very, very likely that Morse is going to be out for a while. And if he is, like Rich kind of kind of went over last night. You know, I think Aluko might be the player to put in there, but like he's just put on there, needs drag goals and assists. I couldn't agree more. He knows that. Rich knows that. I couldn't agree more. I'll tell you what, I think if he gets a continuous run in the side, which he might, I do underline the word might, he might do. I think that might come. But
Okay.
He was absolutely 100% first class last night.
He was, and that term will live long in the memory. Alex Griffin's in the room. Good evening, Alex. Hope you are well. Colin, enjoy the rest of the show. We'll hopefully speak to you again before the weekend when we discuss Portsmouth, but look after yourself.
Oh, by the way, just the last one. A very big shout out to Matt Stannard. Happy birthday from myself, but Venetia and everybody. He's a lovely, lovely man.
Absolutely. And as it's his birthday, I've got a little bit of advice for old Matt. Matt, you need to sort your income protection out. You lovely lot. I am here very quickly to discuss Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection, run by Ipswich Town fan Graham. So you know you're in good hands if you go with Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection. I want to discuss the income protection service they do with you. You all know me and you all know my story. Literally one day I went out into that big wide world, a scary world, and I had an injury which left me disabled and unable to work. Just like that, I lost my income. Just like that. That's a click there. Crazy. This may have been an answer to a prayer, because obviously when you can't work, you can't earn. And when you can't earn, your bills are still going to be there wanting to be paid, like children needing to be fed. This could have been an answer to my prayer and taken some stress away from me and let me focus on my mental and physical health. Income protection insurance, it's not for everybody, but it might be for you. So give Graham a call on 01636 337 447 or email graham@woodpeckermortgages.co.uk. And I must say, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. You know it makes sense, you lovely people. In no way was I threatening you there, Matt, but you might want to save yourself a bit of money, etc., etc. With Ipswich Town fan Graham. Right, Mike D in the chat says, if we're so good in this pub league, we shouldn't have to worry about injuries or something along those lines. I'm just paraphrasing there, Mike. So yesterday we got a couple of injuries. Tux, Sam Morsey, George Edmondson. You've mentioned Morsey, so I'll come to you with Morsey. Talk to me. We don't know what it is. Could be a hamstring. If it's a hamstring, it could be a while. It could be weeks, could be months, could be season over, could be back Saturday. How much of a big loss will Sam Morsey be if it's any game time being missed, and who replaces him?
Yeah, it's a huge loss, because he's that perfect player to have in that plays out in that position. And I think we saw obviously when he was suspended how much we kind of missed him, and when he came back how much you could see that. I think. Yeah, he's a quality player, and you know he's kind of had that new role, I think, under McKenna, where he's been able to get a bit further forward. Where I think is where Cook was playing in really is that sort of CDM role, whereas I feel like Morsey's now is more of a central midfielder. He's that kind of box to box player, hence why he scored it the other week. So yeah, it would be a huge miss, and I do think it could be maybe season over for him potentially, because hamstrings are a bit of a funny injury. You can never really put a time frame on it, and you know it takes a while for you to actually come back and get the ground running again, really, after an injury like that. So hopefully it's not too bad for him, and hopefully we get to see him before the end of the season and ready for those playoffs. But it's he will be a miss. To answer your point, it will be a huge miss.
Carl Brooks calls him the glue that holds it all together. You earlier said that he was almost playing a different game to the rest of the team because he's so far ahead in terms of reading the ball. It's going to be a huge miss. But how do you go about replacing him then, Tux? How do you go about replacing a man that is the glue, as Carl says?
Yeah, it's difficult. And I mean, I'm so glad we got Backinson to come in, because before that, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you who'd be able to come in, really. But obviously, Backinson is that player who comes in anyway. He be alongside Morsey for me all the time anyway. But then you've got to look at that replacement now. And in my team for Saturday, I put Tom Carroll in there. I'm not his biggest fan. I think he should do more in terms of off the ball. I think he's great on the ball. He's got a good passing range and stuff like that. But off the ball, he doesn't do enough for me. But then you've got to look at it and you think, other than like Lee Evans, I mean, who the hell are you going to put in there? Because I don't think El Mazzuni's a central midfielder. I think a lot of people know my thoughts on El Mazzuni. Cole does, because I was whinging about him last night. But other than that, who do you bring in? Because central midfield options are quite thin on the ground at the moment, because otherwise you're looking at like Cameron Humphreys or someone like that, and I don't think he's going to play before the end of the season. So yes, it's a difficult one. But then, you know, someone mentioned I think in the chat somewhere that, you know, Luko could potentially come in and play alongside Backinson or whatever. And I like that as a duo. I feel like it's more suited to play that sort of player in there, not against a Portsmouth side. You want to play him against like a Cheltenham or someone like that. Whereas I feel like because Portsmouth will come at you, I feel like maybe we're a little bit nullified in there. We don't really have that kind of strength and defensive ability in there alongside a Backinson. So it does worry me from that point of view. And then obviously you've got like Edmondson, who's a complete Rolls Royce as a centre half, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, hopefully, I think it said on Suffolk last night that he's got an ankle injury or, you know, a swollen ankle, but hopefully that's not too bad as well. But, you know, I think Burgess actually, to be honest with you, I mean, coming in, this will suit him. This is the formation that he played at Accrington. You know, I don't think he's had the best of starts, I think, at Ipswich. But again, I think he's like Wolfenden. He's better in a back five than he is in a back four, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And he plays on the left side. He's left-footed, so he should really come in and slot in quite nicely in that position. And there shouldn't really be too much of a miss there, hopefully. But yeah, Morsey for me is the big standout one for me.
Aluko's a player, Alex. I've often said, you know, if he was half a yard faster, could maybe perform the midfield area role. Selena, however, comes in. I don't think has the makeup required to perform it and does really well, albeit against Fleetwood, who are no Portsmouth, shall we say, with all due respect. Could Aluko be the answer to Morsey being missing? Is it going to be El Miz's turn? How do you fix the Morsey possibly being gone issue?
I've gone Sonny Aluko in the centre midfield. Why
Aluko for you? What does he offer?
I think, you know, if you look at Selena, can Selena go back there because that's where he started on Saturday? Then yes, technically he can, but then you lose. I think Selena is more effective part of the pitch. I think in terms of being able to be that midfielder to push on and, you know, drive the ball forward, you know, as we've seen, you know, some of Aluko's control and, you know, being able to get himself out of tight spots, then, and I think with his experience, then he's that experienced head to go in there beside a Backinson. For me,
his experience, that's for sure. But then, is it? I don't know. My issue is the lack of bite again, Alex. Yeah. We're becoming toothless again. Back to the old Ipswich way. That's my worry without Sam Morsey. But then we saw it when he was suspended. We were really brittle.
But then what you do, you sort of almost say to Backinson, right? You know, you're providing that bite. And then you let Aluko be the one to go and create.
Of course, Lee Evans might be fitter. Sam Morsey might be Lazarus. He might not have an injury at all come Saturday, 3 p.m. Another player that went off injured, obviously, was Edmondson. Tux really touched on it there. Burgess, £1 million defender in League One. Not often you get your 4 centre-half to be nearly £1 million, but here we are. Is it Burgess for you as well, Alex? Or is it a formation change?
Absolutely Burgess for me, you know, in the sense that he's left-footed. He can play on the left side. As Tuck said, he's played that position for Aki. So out of the two, Burgess, that's a simpler change for me. I think we've got a like for like. And you know, you say you worry about losing, say, Edmonton's maraud and runs forward.
Yeah.
But you've as we evidenced last night, Wolf can do that. Wolf can be that one.
Yeah.
Wolf can do that. And, you know, if Cam Burgess can come in and say, right, you know, I'll cover you and, you know, I'll be, you know, very much like JD does for Wed Burns, you know, just like, I'll cover you. If you can go forward, go forward. Yeah. Wolf's confident on the ball, so for me, the easy change is Cam Burgess. It's Moores that is the issue, but then Moores does strike me as the kind of old school mentality centre midfielder. If there's any way that he can be on that pitch, he will be on it.
Yeah. He's that type of captain, isn't he, Tux?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a type of player. It's like what you said, Gov. Like we do miss that bite in midfield when he's not playing. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, he's all
Idris
right.
time? Idris time, is
Definitely
it?
not. No. Definitely not. No.
Got an extension. You might as well start bringing him in now.
But
surely.
Christ knows how he's got that though.
Paul Cook gave it to him. No, Wood McKenna have given it to him. That's the thing.
Well, yeah.
I don't think so.
Paul Cook told Wolford he can go. So maybe we're not. Maybe I don't know. I the times I've seen Idris, he's not quite ready, but he's not as bad as you.
Yeah, but how long do you talk about potential with this kid? Do you know what I mean? Like yeah, exactly, right. And he's been on the fringes of this first team for God knows how long. And yes, he is still young, and he could fulfil some sort of potential, I suppose. But I just don't think it's going to be here, and I just don't think he suits any of the kind of teams that we've put out, and I still don't think he suits this side really.
Yeah.
Because where does he come in if he plays? He's going to be playing central midfield, and he's not a central midfielder. For me, he's either a number 10 or at best maybe a winger or something like that. But he's not good enough for me.
I've just thought of a player, Tux, that through the joke about how long is potential. He's currently 28. You might know him as a winger called Josh Carson.
Josh Carson, bloody hell, yeah.
I know. Is he still only 28?
Is he still playing?
Yeah, he's playing I think he's playing in Northern Ireland. Yeah, Northern Irish football in the NIFL Premiership.
Yeah, I remember when he burst onto the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The potential there, again, and he's still got the potential. I don't know what happened there. To be fair, Burgess, I think, but there you go. That's where it went wrong for the poor kid. Look who sponsored him.
Well,
he had no fucking chance, did he? The moment that came out, Jesus. Poor blood. I feel even worse for him. Lewis Robinson, as McKenna said, Burgess has been working well in training and is well aware of the phases of play. He's ready to come in, and good luck to him. Matt Stannard loved Josh Carson, always been in the club by the cinema after a match. There you go. The thing with Sam Morsey is I do think he's the type of captain, he wouldn't do something, he wouldn't ask of you something he wouldn't do himself. So if there's any way he can be on that football pitch, you bet your bottom dollar he will be. And that sort of breeds itself, that mentality and culture, in my opinion, breeds itself through the club. That this is what you do. You run through fire, you run through adversity, you go through hell and back for those 3 points. And Wes Burns, again, is another player, Tuck.
I've never thought on the... Now, this does rely on something, but I've just had if he's fit...
Yeah.
You put Edmonton in the centre of midfield next, and have him, and then you put Cam Burgess in Edmonton position.
But then you're moving. What? So if Edmonton's fit, you're moving
Edmonton into midfield to give that bite in that bite.
You're playing 3D chess, and we're playing checkers over there.
I'm just thinking he looks comfortable when he makes those runs into the centre of midfield, and he gives us that bite that we say that that we'd lose out on Morsey, being a defender. So if he's
Bluey in there, he's got some bite.
And if he can make those marauding runs, if he is fit, I know it's left field, but it was just sort of, if we're saying we need bite, put Edmonton in there, put Cam Burgess in centre back.
I think. Chat, let me know what you think. Wes Burns? I wouldn't go for it. I'm going to be honest. Wes Burns has been playing through what must be the pain barrier now for a couple of weeks, Tuck. Every time he comes to the pitch, he looks like he's run through walls.
Oh Christ, that was painful last night. Because me and Carl were talking before the game, and we was just saying, with the running of games left, we don't want any injuries to our better players. We don't want any suspensions or anything like that.
Your fault.
Yeah, and we were standing outside the hot dog van, and we was having this conversation about how we can't have any of our players injured or any suspensions or anything like that. And I said, we can't afford to have Morsey injured. We can't afford to have Edmondson injured, and we certainly can't afford to have Burns injured. And what happens? 2 of them get injured, and Burns looked like he was going to go off. So, Yeah, it wasn't great. But yeah, he has been playing through the pain barrier quite a lot. And he's one player that we cannot afford to miss. Just going into these kind of run of games, these last run of games, because he is different level. And you could, I think Cook lost his fucking job really because he wasn't in the team at the time.
Do you know, Brennan
Could have been
Woolley
a
said
different.
almost something the same last night on the commentary.
Yeah, it could have been a very different situation if Burns was fit, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I think Burns is. You got to wrap him up in cotton wool, to be honest with him.
I don't think a miracle could have helped Cook, but there we go. That's
He would have lasted longer, I think, if Burns was still in. I still think he may have lost his job towards probably around this sort of time, maybe in January or something like that. But yeah, I think if Burns was fit around that sort of time, he would have lasted a bit longer, I think, and the results might have been better as well. So.
Okay, it's funny that because you say about you speaking with Carl about the injuries. Also, I think before he got that final kick, Brennan was saying on the commentary, we should wrap him up in cotton wool. And I was thinking, don't jinx it for crying out loud, because I'm not going to take him off, are they? Robert Grimsby, Burgess did well when he came on last night. Give him a chance on Saturday. Morsey would be a huge miss, but Burns is the main man at the moment, so maybe the difference between win versus loss. I think with Burgess, before we come on to obviously looking at Portsmouth, the team, etc., his lack of pace is the killer. But in a back three, your lack of pace is protected, and that's why you play defenders in a back three, because they generally have an issue with pace. So there's more players to cover them, there's less space to cover for themselves. So he played in a three at Accra, and it might be something they look into. Portsmouth, obviously, this Saturday, we've got the press conference reaction show on Friday at 8:30. This is a great opportunity, lads, for us to finally get our third win in a row. Are we going to take it? Are we going to grab it with both hands? Obviously, the league table, it is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. And what it is us still in ninth, but we could leave ninth. For the first time since I was probably wearing nappies, it was what it feels like. We could leave ninth this Saturday. 59, sixth is on 62. Before I ask for your team, Tux, come 5 p.m. Saturday, will Ipswich Town be on 62, or will they be on 59?
It'll be 3 points in the bag, I think.
I like that. So you think that's going to win Saturday?
I think that it will sort of suit us in a way where I think we've played teams before, or most recently, where they've come to Portman Road and they've put 11 men behind the ball, and it's very much a case of very hard to break them down. Where if we play better sides like a Portsmouth, who will come at us because they haven't really got anything to lose.
Full of form, yeah.
So they want 3 points. They've got nothing to lose, and when we play these kind of better teams, it should actually better suit us really, because we'll be able to attack them. There shouldn't really be too many kind of players sitting, and it should be more of like a Wickham performance where we were very much attacking them because they were trying to attack us. But that's what I'm hoping for anyway. But I do think that we have got a lot of momentum at the moment. We've got a lot of confidence, and hopefully we can get those 3 points, and we're at home. So
yeah, exactly. And we've got to make Portman Road that will keep that form up at home. Alex, to be fair to Lincoln yesterday, they came with hopefully what Tux is wanting out of Portsmouth, with a plan to almost go toe to toe with us. They came to play football. They didn't come to sit in. People in the chat rightfully saying Pompey are going to be a very tough team, that they're an informed team. But that could play into our hands, couldn't it, Alex? Because they're going to come front foot, play football, and we can do what we do best, and that's get the ball and use the space they leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I've quite often I've said on this platform before, I think we'll do better against the teams that will come out and play us, if that makes sense. And I think Portsmouth will do that. They'll come the game with a game plan that they want to execute, they won't park the bus. So we've got to be mind, and with the defence how it is at the moment and how solid we are, we only need one. So and it's sort of like I feel a lot more confident going into the Pompey game with this defence.
Yep.
Than I have done in years gone by. I think this defence is organised, and I do. But someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that they may be missing one of their key
Marcus
players.
Harness. Yeah.
So I think that can play into our hands as well. So I'm excited for it.
He's their top goal scorer with 11. They've still got kind of tasty players that left behind. The thing about this game, Tux, it's a big game in respect of their own playoff push. They're 2 games behind. They have 2 games in hand on us. Only a couple of points. If they win, I would put them almost firmly in the driving seat to try and clinch that last 6th place. This is important that we shut the door almost on them, isn't it?
Yeah, there's absolutely no room for failure now.
No, I agree. Yeah.
You've got to look at it and you think, okay, if we lose on Saturday and teams, get wins and the points that they need, then it's just an uphill challenge, isn't it? And we've done well to even get 3 points in it at the moment. But yeah, these are teams as well that you can take points off of as well. We've been playing a lot of teams recently where they haven't really been in the playoffs or going for that playoff push. So it will be nice to hopefully take points off, sides in and around us that are trying to get that, that 5th and 6th spot essentially. So yeah, hopefully we can. And I suppose the only thing I've got in the back of my head is that I think we'll be better with Morsey and Edmondson. Certainly Morsey, because I think he's the one that we can't really replace at the moment, if I'm honest. But hopefully players come in and take their opportunity, really. But yeah, I'm confident, and hopefully we can take points off those promotion rivals.
Absolutely. Now, you may have guessed what the lads' teams will be based on the conversation, but here is Alex's 11 for Saturday. Walton in goal, Burgess, Wolfenden, Donassi, Burns, Thompson, Aluko, Backinson, Selena. I put 2 Selenas in there for you. Selena and Jackson. Replaced one of the Selenas with who, Alex?
Who's missing? Hold on.
Sorry, Alex. That's completely my fault. I'm so sorry. That's my fault.
I'm trying to think who's missing because it was the same.
You've got Backinson and Aluko, Selena, Jackson. You got Piggott. Would you bring Piggott in this weekend?
No, because I would keep this team the same apart from the 2 changes that I've made. I can't remember who's missing out of that side.
I can tell
Chaplin.
you. Well, no, he was on the bench. He could be Chaplin.
He was on the bench last night, wasn't he?
But you have got to replace somebody. That's the thing. You have got to replace somebody. You've got.
I suppose, yeah, because you're moving Aluko, haven't you? So you need someone to replace Aluko. So, yeah, Chaplin.
I'd go Piggott, Why not Piggott? Talk to me about Piggott, Alex, before I bring on Tux's team. Why would you... What is he going to do to get an extended run? Or even to just get playing more regularly than he's playing more regularly now than he was at the start of the year, granted. But he's still not getting the true rub of the green for me.
He's not, but... Is that the game to bring him in? And if you think about Chaplin being ex-Pompey as well, he's going to be up for it. I just think it may suit a Chaplin more than a Joe Piggott, potentially. Okay. As well. And, talking about what we talked about earlier on, because I think Pompey have got that Man City keeper who'll play it out. So, having someone like a Chaplin that can go nip around him and, put him under pressure. So, yeah, it's Chaplin for me, I think.
Okay. Tux, your team is on the screen. Hopefully, I've done this one right for you. Walton, Burgess, Wolfenden, Donassi, Burns, Thompson, Carroll, Backinson, Selena, Norwood, and Jackson. Is that correct?
It is correct. However, I would have Norwood up top with Jackson.
I knew you would. And I almost did it for you, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to do it like Kieran McKenna has been playing James Norwood. Because I thought that would be a great talking point. Talk to me about James Norwood. If he's in your team, as he is here, where does he play? Because Kieran McKenna, for me, would play James Norwood where I've put him.
Yeah,
that inside left. What would you do?
Well, I'd have him up top with Jackson. I just feel like maybe this is a game suited to a Norwood or a Bond because, I think Portsmouth have got some quite good defenders, to be honest, and they're quite big. So I think maybe it's a case of that, Norwood might come on to sort of nullify them a little bit. But I don't know. I do agree with what you're saying, though, that I think Norwood probably would play left if it was McKenna, but if it's my team, then I'll put him alongside Jackson. And I've gone for Carroll in the central midfield role as well, alongside of Backinson. I do like the thought of Luco being in there, but I'm not sure whether he's, like you said, he has got that bite. And Carroll also doesn't really have that bite, but I think he's going to go for a natural central midfield alongside of Backinson. because if it was Morsey, yes, you could probably get away with playing like an Aluko there, but because it's Backinson and Carroll, I think they need each other to support themselves in the central midfield roles. So that's
my
why I've gone for that.
issue with Carroll and Backinson, Tux, is that they're both going to die at about 70 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
they will.
You're left. What do you do past that point? Because you've got El Miz, and then possibly either a Luca or a Selena. They're both not 90-minute players for me.
I think Backinson is, and I think you'll see that over the next course of the couple of games, especially with whatever happens to Morsey. But because you can't put anyone else in there really. And I agree with that. Carroll, for me, I like him. I want to give him a chance and stuff like that. And I think he's really great on the ball. He's got a good passing range, as I said before, but he just doesn't do enough for me off the ball. He just watches players drift past him, and I just don't understand it. He doesn't stick a foot in. And I get that's not really his game, but I don't know. I think if he does start, then I imagine one of them will probably go off at not half time, but 60 minutes or whatever. And then you might get an Aluko in there or something like that. But it depends how the game's going, really, doesn't it? And I mean, if we're chasing the game, then you want to probably put more of an attacking player in there. So we'll have to see, really.
But this is McKenna, and who knows, because he likes to spring a tactical surprise, like a Selena playing in the deep line playmaker role. Sam Morsey might be fit, who knows? But let's try and guess some score predictions as we round up tonight's show. Tux, what are you going for on Saturday?
I'm going to go for 3 points, just because for me, there is no room for error now. We have to get these points on the board. We have to get these wins, and I'm going to go for a score prediction of 2-1 Ipswich.
2-1. All right, the Coxie 2-1. Nor was on his way in the summer, says Cruncher. We also don't play two up top. Parry, not Norwood for me. Robert Wilson, wish we had 2 Selenas. Yeah, so did I. Don't know what I was doing then. Stephen Parry, think we'll keep that box in midfield. It works well. Carl Brooks, bring on. No, Carl. No, just no. Dr. Zach King, front has been fluid game by game. Depends how the game goes. Have a manager who'll read the game and change as needed. We've got Aluko as a tough tackler. Question mark Beep, because Beep says Aluko as a tough tackler and progressive. Looks a better replacement. We should have signed Jane Matete. That's what I'm going to say on the mail. We wouldn't have a problem. I said at some point between January and the end of the season, Sam Morsey will miss games. Yeah. I said it'd be through suspension. But either way, you always felt it was walking the line and he was going to miss a run of games again.
Yeah.
And we're in the position I thought we would be in.
Yeah, we definitely needed another CDM coming in. And I even said that at the start of the season because we saw how Morsey has an effect on the team and how he needs to be in that side because it allows the forward players to express themselves a bit further. And I'm so surprised. I know we got Backinson, but I'm surprised we didn't sign another kind of central midfielder that's got that kind of a bit of defensive bite in him. Just in case it happened to Morsey or Backinson or whoever it might be. But I suppose we all forget about Lee Evans at the moment. He could come back into the side. I'm not his biggest fan at all, but he does give us a bit of bite. He is more of a defensive. I'd rather have him there than El Mazzuni. So,
I got a feeling you'd rather have Bailey Clements than El Mazzuni.
That's a bit of a stretch.
I did limber up before I made the lunge.
Yeah, I don't like either of them. I know Matt Stan, our birthday boy, loves a bit of Clements, but
he does.
I think he likes El Mazzuni as well. However, I don't like either of them.
No, but it's his birthday, so we'll allow him the dodgy opinion. Alex, score prediction, please.
I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to go 1-0.
Okay. Oh, come on. Let's do it. Saturday, 5 p.m. outside the statue. Imagine if we're not in 9th anymore. I might have a fucking party. Craig,
what are your thoughts, Gov? What are you saying for your score prediction?
Hosts don't do score predictions.
Oh,
I was aghast.
Don't sit on the fence. Got splinters in your
I was
ass.
aghast on Monday when Amy broke the host's rule by not only having a team, but also putting a score prediction in for Tuesday. I was like, oh my God, don't set that sort of precedent. They'll be asking me, and there we are. Look, the very next show, here he is asking me what my prediction is. My prediction is 2 teams will kick off and 2 teams will finish, and Ipswich Town will hope 3-0. 3-0 Town win. Why not? Go big or go home. Go big or go home.
Like
and I will be there, you cheeky soul. I see you cruncher in the chat. I'm actually attending. Yes, I'll be there Saturday. Don't you worry. Just make sure you're there. But yeah, 3-0. Why not? Chaplin to get the last. I fancy a corner.
Really?
It's got to happen at some point.
We are shit at corners.
Yeah, I know, but it's got to happen at some point, isn't it? It's like when you buy the lottery ticket. You keep telling yourself at some point you've got to win the lottery. It's got to happen at some point. It's got to. Maybe we're saving it for a Tony Mowbray type header in the playoff final. 0-0, 89 minutes. We got a corner. The whole fan base gets deflated. Corners, don't score from corners, and then Edmondson rises like a salmon.
I said to Cole last night. I said if Burgess starts the next game against Portsmouth, he'll score. So there we go. That'll be the corner.
Joe, he's a big old boy.
Yeah.
He's a big old boy. I wouldn't be surprised. Fisherman and Pigger up top, says Lewis Robinson. Right, we had one exciting corner yesterday, Tux, and then Wolf was thrown to the floor twice.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
There you go. Right, we're done. We're dusted. Here's the Peaky one. Mark Tuxford, catch him Sundays, 9 p.m. He is Lionel, Alex Wilson. We are back tomorrow with the away day guy with Amy at 7:30, and then of course Friday 8:30, the press conference reaction show. Final thoughts ahead of Pompey, big game. But until then, support the channel on Ko-Fi, become a YouTube member, but with love, with care. Do you know what? I played it once. Let's play it again. It's the Aluka.